Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this SQL series, by far, I have discussed about the basics of SQL. First, I started with what is SQL, types of SQL commands, then what are the syntax and some examples. That was my first video. And then it was followed by the SQL practical guide where I worked on 17 beginner level questions with their solutions. So these were targeted for the beginner level, those who are starting with their SQL journey. For them, this is one of the best video. And today I will talk about the intermediate level questions. I will walk you through most important 24 questions with their solutions. So this is moderate level. If you are new, then I would suggest you to watch my last video first and then you can work on this video. Alright, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe and you can share across these videos with your friends as well. I prepare the videos on data visualization, predominantly Power BI, SQL and Python. I have entered sqlpractice.com. On that, there are 3 levels. If you select the difficulty, you can see it is easy, there is medium level, then there is hard. In my previous video, I explained all the questions in easy mode, right? So I have explained all these questions. So if you want to watch, you can watch that video as well. And then if I talk about medium level, these are the questions for which I will give you the solution in this particular video. All right. So if we get back to the website, this is the SQL database where we can view the schema. There are 3 tables: patients, or rather there are 4 tables: patients, doctors, admissions and province underscore names, right? And then there are basic learning resources here. So if we talk about functions, I will walk you through all these aggregate in these questions: count, average, sum, max, min. And if we talk about string functions, concat, length, upper, lower, everything will be covered in this particular video. Numeric will also be covered, date will also be covered. Windows will not be covered because this will come under hard level of difficulty. Alright, so let's get started. So now I will select medium level. If I want to view all the questions, you can view them. Now let's get started by question number 1. I will click here. So question is, show unique birth years from patients and order them by ascending. Right, table info is patients. So I have a table name patients. These are the columns and these are the data types. So I'll just select unique birth years, right? So I have to select distinct bracket year of birth date, right? So this will give me the distinct years, right, from patients table, order by birth date in ascending order. Let's see if my query is correct or not. So you got the query correct. That means the answer is absolutely right. If I have to format this so that I can read it in a much better way, I can use the shortcut key Control plus Q, right? So this will give me the format as desired. So there is one column distinct of year of birth date. So birth date was column. I have fetched the year of that particular column and it should be distinct. So if I have to change the name of this column, I can write as, you can write, let's say, birth underscore year, right? Now if I execute Control plus enter, then it will come birth underscore year, as you can see over here, right? So this is how you can change and make it more readable for the viewers. All right. So now if I again click on view all questions, you can see the status of this question has been completed, right? So this is how you can work on all the questions and provide the solutions. Now let's go to question number 2. Question number 2 is show unique first names from the patient's table which only occurs once in a list. For example, if 2 or more people are named John in the first name column, then don't include their name in the output list. If only one person is named Leo, then include them in the output, right? And table is patients. All right, so first I will delete my previous query. Now let's write the keyword select my first name column from the table patients. Now I want to group them by the column first name because I want to have unique first names, right? So if I group them, group by first name, right? Now what is the condition? Condition is that first name should not be repeated, right? So for example, the name John is the name of 2 or 3 people, then this name should not be there, right? So my condition would be having count of first name equal to 1. So what I have done is the count of my first name should be 1. If it is 1, then give me the solution, the results. If it is not 1, if it is greater than 1, if it is greater than 1, then don't give me the solutions, right? So if I execute this, control plus enter, you got the query correct. So now there is an interesting thing. So I have written having instead of where. So what I have done is, if I have to provide any condition, we generally use where clause, right? If I use instead of having where count of first name is 1, this is absolutely wrong, because with group by, if I have used group by, then the data is being grouped by this particular column, right? With the group by, we always use having, right? So now the first name column is there from the table patients, group by first underscore name, having the count of first name equal to 1, right? Now there is an alternate solution that the website is telling me. Let's click here and see what exactly is there. So in this alternative solution, the website has used the subquery, right? So select first name from, again there is a query, so there is a query inside a query. So first name should be from select first name count of first name as occurrences from patients table group by first name, and then where clause is occurrences is equal to 1. So here you can see it is where, not having. Having is used with group by and where is used directly with the select statement. All right, I hope this is clear. Now let's move to the next question. The next question is show patient underscore ID and the first name from patient's table where their first name starts and ends with S and is at least 6 characters long, right? So the question is, I want to show patient ID and first name as the 2 columns, but the condition is my first name should start as well as end with S, right? And it should be at least 6 characters long. So we need to provide the length as well as the first and the last character. So it should be select patient ID. I want to select patient ID. Then I have to select first name, right? I can easily make it like this to make it more readable. Select first name and patient ID from patient's table where first name like So if I have to provide which character is coming where, or which should be my first character or which should be my last character, then I can use like s percentage s. So what this will provide me is percentage gives me whatever is there, anything can come, right? So I'm saying it should start from s and whatever is there in between doesn't matter, and it should end at s, right? So if I ask, give me one condition where the first name starts with s, so all the names like Sonu, which is starting from S, then for that case, it would be S percentage only, right? But we want all the names where it is starting from S and ending at S. So this is my first condition where first name like this. And my second condition would be and length. For length, I will use len. This is my keyword. Length of first name should be equal to or greater than equal to 6 in this case. So it should be at least 6 character long. So this is my one condition. This is my another condition. I want patient ID and first name from the table patients. Let's see if this is correct. Press Ctrl plus enter. Absolutely. So this is the correct solution. If I want to see the alternative solution, let's see what it is. So this is what we used, right? And here they have used one more example. Here they have used only one condition. I mean, they have clubbed the two condition in one itself. Like the first name should be like S, then they have used underscore and then percentage S. So this is depicting that it should be total 6 character long at least, right? And then there is another solution, select column name, then again column name from table, where the first name like s percentage and first name like percentage s. So we have already clubbed this, so this is not a good solution, but you definitely the output will be same, so you can use this. All right, so now let's move to the next question. Show me the patient ID, first name and last name from the table patients whose diagnosis is dementia. So I have two tables, patients and admissions. So the primary diagnosis is stored in the admissions table. So I have to get the patient ID, first name, last name from the table patients whose diagnosis is dementia. Diagnosis will come from the admissions table, right? So I want this, and then from patients table I want this, this and this, right? So I have three columns from one table, one column from second table. So how to do that? For this we have to use join, right? So first of all we will join these two tables on one particular like key. One key that is common between these two tables would be patient ID, right? So we have patient underscore ID in these two tables and this will make sense. So once we join on the patient ID, we can get these three columns, then fourth column as diagnosis from admissions table, right? Let's see how it will go. Select, we want patient ID, then we want first name, we want last name, and then we want diagnosis, right, from table as patients. Now diagnosis is coming from table number 2. How to describe that? So let's name patients as table 1 T1. So we will use T1 dot first name as T1 dot first name, T1 dot, and let's say the admissions table is T2. So I will use T2 dot diagnosis. So I want diagnosis column from table number 2, admissions table, right? So I have described this from patients. Patients is my T1, so I have to describe this, explain this to the computer. Join admissions, and this table is T2 on. So what is the logic? So you know the syntax, right? Syntax is select star from table 1, right, join table 2 on table 1 dot key equal to table 2 dot key, right? So we have to select whatever we want from table 1 and we have to join this from table 2 on, we have to describe the condition on what basis we are joining these two tables, right? So this is my syntax. I'll just use the command. All right, so I want patient ID, I want first name, I want last name. All right, and then I want diagnosis from patients table, join admissions on t1 dot patient underscore id equal to t2 dot patient underscore id, right? Now I want a where clause where t2 dot diagnosis is equal to dementia, right? So this is what we want. But now if you see, we want patient ID, first name and last name. We don't want diagnosis, so I can remove this actually, right? Now if we execute this, control plus enter, and we are getting the correct solution. Now here if you see, the solution provided by the computer is patients dot patient ID, then first name last name from patients. So what it has done is it has not provided or mentioned the table name because it is coming from patients only. So in my case I can easily ignore these, I can easily remove this because anyway this is coming from this table only, right? If in case any column was coming from the table number 2, for example diagnosis, right, then I have to mention t2 dot diagnosis, right, because this column is not from patients table, right? So this is how you can use. Now let's see the alternative solution provided. Here they have not used join, so they have used the subquery. What is subquery? So they have selected the patient ID, first name, last name that we want from the table name, where the patient ID in, so this is the keyword used in, and then again there is a query, so it is called subquery, where the patient ID in, select patient ID from admissions where diagnosis is dementia. So ultimately this is giving me the condition that whenever the diagnosis is dementia, all those patient ID should come in this, and then ultimately I will select patient ID, first name and last name. All right, so both the solutions are absolutely correct. It depends on your needs, but generally join is recommended because of ease of use and less complexity, right? So now moving to the next question. Display every patient's first name, order the list by the length of each name and then by alphabetically. All right. So let's move this, our previous query. Select, we have to display every patient's first name. So my first name, order the list by the length of each name, right? Select first name from patients, order by length of each name. So each name is first name, then alphabetically, right? So what I have done is I have to select or display all the first names, right? We have to order them on the basis of length. So first I have ordered by length of first name and then ordered by the first name itself. Let's see if this is correct. Control plus enter to execute. So this is absolutely correct, as you can see, right? Our solution given by the system: select first name from patients, order by length of first name and first name. So this is absolutely correct. All right. So now let's move to the next question. Show the total amount of male patients and total amount of female patients in the patients table. Display the two results in the same row. So let's click on expected output. So it should be like this: male count is this, female count is this. So I want two columns, one column for male count, second column for female count. So for this, I have to use the case. How I will use that? So first of all, select count of. So I have to add all those records when my gender is equal to male, right? So for that case, when gender column is equal to M, then my solution or result should be 1 end, right? So whenever the system, or you can say the trigger, will get gender is equal to M, it will count those records, and then it will be like 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, and whatever it will be the count, it will be stored as male underscore count, right? So this is my column 1. Column 2 would be count of case when gender equal to F, that is for female, then it should be 1 end, else it is 0, right? It should be as female underscore count. So this will give me the count of all the records where the gender is equal to F, that is female, right? So this is how I can get these two columns, and it should come from the table name patients. So select column 1 as male underscore count, second column as female underscore count from table patients. Now let's execute this. Alright, so there is some error, syntax error nearby. So I have used count case when gender is equal to M, then 1 end as male underscore count, comma. Then I have again used count function to count whenever the gender is equal to F, then 1 end as female count from patients. Okay, so this is the command which is, or you can say this is the comment which is not the comment anymore. So I'll make it as a comment again, and now execute again, control plus enter, right? So this is our query solution. Let's see what was the solution provided by the system. So it has given select, and under select it is select count from patients where gender is equal to M as male count, comma, select count star from patients where gender is equal to F as female count. This is also correct. View alternative solutions. Select sum of gender is equal to M as male count, gender F is equal to female count, and this is the one we have used, right? This is how we have worked on. You can work or execute using these queries as well, right? So my personal favorite is using case when and right. All right, so now this is clear. Now let's move to the next question. Show first and last name allergies from patients which have allergies to either penicillin or morphine. Show results ordered ascending by allergies, then by first name, and then by last name. So what I have to display is first name, last name, allergies from table patients where allergies are either penicillin or allergies are morphine, right? So I should display first name, last name and allergies from the table patients. Whenever the allergy is either penicillin or morphine, it should be ordered by allergies, then it should be ordered by first name, then by last name, right? If we execute this, we got the query correct. So if you see, it was mentioned it should be ordered by in ascending order. So on default it is always sorted on ascending. If we have to use descending, so we have to mention DESC with allergies, so it will be sorted on the basis of descending order. All right, so now you can see there are three columns: first name, last name and allergies. In allergies you will see only penicillin or morphine is available because we have provided the condition. We can also use another keyword. Instead of this, we could have used where allergies in keyword and then used penicillin, right, and then morphine. So it will always include these two. If we have three condition, I can use this very easily, right? So this is very useful in operator. Otherwise you can use this as well, right? So this is what has been provided by the system, where allergies in penicillin or morphine. If we click on view alternative solutions, this is what I have worked on, right? So this is how I created where allergy is equal to penicillin or allergy is equal to morphine. All right, so let's delete the query. Now let's move to the next question. Show me the patient ID diagnosis from admissions. Find patients admitted multiple times for the same diagnosis. All right, so for this I have to display patient ID diagnosis from admissions. Here I have to group by patient ID, diagnosis, right? So these are the two things on the basis of which I will group. So what this will give me is patient ID and diagnosis from the table admissions. You can see this is the schema: patient ID, admission date, discharge date, diagnosis, attending doctor ID. So from here I want patient ID, diagnosis, right? I want these two columns from table admissions grouped by patient ID. So first column would be patient ID, and then again further grouping would be done on the basis of diagnosis, right? Where there is one condition: patient admitted multiple times for the same diagnosis, right? Because of the same diagnosis we have to group by diagnosis as well, right? Here my condition would be having count of all the records greater than 1, right? So with group by, if we have to use condition, I can't use where as discussed earlier, right? So I will use having count of all the records, star means all, greater than 1. So this will give me all the records where the patients were admitted multiple times, right, for the same diagnosis. Let's try to execute this, and this is absolutely correct. All right, so this will give me two columns: patient ID and diagnosis. All right, let's see the status till now. View all the questions. You will see this will give me completed, 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 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. So we have completed 8 queries till now. Now let's move to the 9th query. So my 9th query is: Show the city and the total number of patients in the city. Order from most to least patients and then by city name ascending. Here I have to display city and the count of the patients, total number of patients in the city. So that will be the count of patient ID, right? I can name this column as, let's say, number of patients, right? From the table patients, group by city, because we have to show all the city and the total number of patients. If we see the expected output, it should be all the cities and number of patients in each city, right? So it should be grouped by the city name. So group by city, and it has shown that I have to order them, order from most to least patients. So you can see the number of patients maximum is on the top, right? So order by number of patients, which is this, right? Which is the count of patient ID, and it should be the maximum on top. So we have to use descending, right? And order from most to least patients. Another order is by the city name ascending, right? So it would be comma city, and I can mention ascending like this, right? But on default it is ascending. So if you don't write this, this is also fine. Let's try to execute this, and this is perfect, right? So I can see there are the cities and the number of patients in each city. All right, so there is no alternate solution provided by the system. So let's move to the next question. Show first name, last name and role of every person that is either patient or doctor. So here we have two tables, patients and doctor, right? So let's display select first name, last name, and the third column is the role. It should be either patient or doctor, and the roles are either patient or doctor, right? So here if you see from the table patients, I want first name, I want last name, and then what is the role? Role means if I am getting first name and last name from table patients, the role would be patients. Then from doctor's table, I want first name and last name. Third column will be the role. For these first name, last name, role would be doctors, right? So in this case, I have to use union. Union, that is union, and rather union all. When I use union all, this will be like appending. So I want all the columns, or you can say all the rows from the patients as well as doctors. So I don't want to merge. So in case of merging, I will use joins, right? It can be left join, right join, outer join, whatever it is. But I'm not merging right now. I am appending. So I'm getting row below row. For that, I will use union, right? So I will get first name, last name, and then I will get patient as role from patients table. Then I will apply union all, and then again select first name, last name, and then it would be doctor as role from doctor's table, right? So this is how I will get three columns, first name, last name and role. So these three columns have the same column header, and below them there would be multiple records. Some records would be from this table, some records would be from this table, and union all will give me all those records in one table, right? So this is what we wanted. So I'll just execute this, and you can see first name, last name, role. In this you will see role would be patient or doctor. If we go to, let's say, third one, or let's say 46th, it will be doctor, right? In the system also they have given the same solution using union all right. So now let's move to the next question. That is, show all allergies ordered by popularity. Remove all the nulls. Right, so show all allergies ordered by popularity. Remove null values from the query. So in this case, I have the table patients, right? So these are the columns. I have to show all the allergies, right? And let's say what is the expected output. So all the allergies are here: penicillin, codeine, sulfa, ASA, sulfa drugs, and what are the total diagnoses? And these are on the basis of descending order, right? So highest is for penicillin, that is 1082 total diagnosis, right? Show all allergies order by popularity. So penicillin is the most popular allergy among all, right? So I will get the count allergies and then count of allergies. This can be named as, let's say, total diagnosis, as it is written here, right? From the table patients, where allergies is not null. So this is what you want: remove null values from the query, right? So where allergies is not null. Now I want to group by the allergies, correct? So I will use group by allergies, right? So if we execute this won't give me the exact solution, because the last step would be to sort them ordered by popularity, right? So here I will use order by total diagnosis. So this is the column I'm using, the count of allergies in the descending order, right? So the highest or most popular should be at the top. Let's execute this, and this is correct. This will give me all the allergies and the total diagnosis for each of them. All right. So if you see the solution provided, this is the exact same solution which I also provided. Let's see the alternative solution. So they have provided select allergies count from table patients where allergy is not null, group by allergies, and order by count descending. So the one change I can see is, instead of is not null, they have mentioned allergies just not null. They have not mentioned is. So this is also correct. Now if we see the third solution, select column allergies, count of allergies as total from patients, group by allergies, having allergies is not null, order by this. So the one change I can see is, instead of where, they have not used where, and then after group by they have used having clause. So it is same. If you want to use where, then you have to use it before group by. If you're using having, it should be after group by, right? This, the output will be same. All right, so now let's move on to the next question. In this, I want to show all the patients' first name, last name, and birth date who were born in the 1970s decade. So 1970s decade would be the years 1970, 71, 72 till 79. Right? Sort the list starting from the earliest birth date. Right? So in this case, I have to select first name, last name, and birth date from patients table, where year of birth date is between, so I will write the between keyword, where year of the column name between 1970 and 1979, right? So the condition is met. Show all the patient's first name, last name and birth date. So this is what it is. Who were born in 1970s decade. So it will be between 1970 and 1979 inclusive of these 2 years. Sort the list starting from the earliest birth date. Order by birth date and it should be ascending. Alright, so let's try to execute this and this is correct. So now here a typical mistake that people do or students do when they write between 1970 and 1979, they use quotes, right? And this will not give the right solution. You should not use this when you're providing the years in the date format. Let's see the alternative solution. Here you can see they have mentioned where birth date is greater than equal to the first date, that is 1st January 1970. It should be equal to or greater than this date, and the last date can be the 31st December 1979. So it should be included. So they have used less than 1st January 1980. So it will include 31st December 1979 and again order by the birth date, right? So both these solutions are correct and they have also used where the year birth date like 1970 and percentage. So percentage can give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 0 as well till 9. So this is also correct. But this is not the preferred solution. I feel this solution as well as this solutions will be more usable and it is highly suggested to use these kind of solutions. Alright, so now let's move to the next question. In this query, we want to display each patient's full name in a single column. Their last name in all upper letters must appear first and then the first name in all lower case letters. Separate the last name, first name with a comma. Order the list by the first name in descending order. So if you see the expected output, the column required is the surname, which should be in upper cases, then comma, and then the first name in the lower cases. That's it. And it should be sorted. So let's see how we can make one column. Select. So to create one column, or you have to merge multiple columns, we can use concat function, right? So I can use concat, and then first I have to start with last name, comma, and then it should be separated by comma, right? So it is a comma, then again comma with the first name, right? It should be as new name format from patients table. Now if you see here, there is one problem. I have not changed them to upper letters or lower letters, right? So my last name should be in all upper letters. So in order to make all the last names in upper letter, I will use upper, yeah, right? And for all the first name, it should be in lower case. So I will use lower function, right? So now this will give me one column with last name in upper cases, then comma, and then first name in lower cases, right? Now I need to sort them. So it would be order by first name and it should be in descending order. Let's try to execute this. And this is giving me the perfect solution, right? So there is one more solution to this. Instead of using concat, I can use upper of last name. Then I can use two parallel lines and then comma, and again two parallel lines, then the lower of first name. This will also give me the exact same solution, or you can say same output, right? If we view alternative solution, I think this is the one they have provided, right? They have used the two parallel lines to concatenate the multiple columns. All right. So now let's move to the next question. In this question, show the province IDs sum of heights where the total sum of its patient's height is greater than or equal to 7,000. So here I will have to display province ID, right? Then I have to display the height, which is sum, as, let's say I mention this column as total height, right, from table patients, right? Now it should be, the expected output is province ID sum of heights, right? So it should be grouped by on the basis of province ID, grouped by province ID. Now the condition which is required in this query is the total height, the sum of all the heights for that particular province ID should be greater than or equal to 7,000. So it is having total height greater than equal to 7,000. So this will be sufficient for my condition. Then I am displaying province ID with this. Then I am displaying sum of height with this. Then I have already given the condition. So let's try to execute this. And this is absolutely correct. Alright, so there is no alternative solution. This is the one we are already executing. So now let's move to the next question. The question is, show the difference between the largest weight and the smallest weight for patients with the last name Maroney. So here I can display select max. I can use max function. If we go to aggregate and click on max, so we will see max function returns the largest value of the selected column. The syntax is select max, then column name from table where condition is this, right? So I will use select max of weight minus, I have to get the difference, right? So I can use max weight minus min of weight, right? This as, let's say the column name is weight difference. I just don't need to write double quotes, right? So this will show me the weight difference from table patients where last name equal to Maroney. So you can see it will give me one column max weight minus min weight, which is weight difference from the table patients where the last name equal to Maroney. Let's try to execute this. And this is absolutely correct, right? So this is what we have also used. All right, so the output is weight difference is 71. So between the maximum weight and minimum weight for the last name Maroney, the weight difference is 71. So if we see, just remember the weight difference 71, right? I'll just use select star from patients where last name is Maroney. Let's try to execute this. Okay, so we have so many records. If you see the weight, the maximum weight I can see is 104, 104, 112. 112 is the maximum weight and minimum looks like 41. Yeah. So 112 minus 41, it is equal to 71, right? So this is what we got in the output. All right, if we go ahead and select this, Control C, see, weight underscore delta is 71, so the output is matching. All right, so let's move to the next question. Show all of the days of the month, that is from 1 till 31, and how many admission underscore dates occurred on that day. Sort by the day with most admissions to least admissions. So I want all the records. So it will be like 31 records, 1, 2, 3 till 31. In on each day, how many admissions were there? So I want that. And I want to sort on the basis of total number of admissions on any particular day, maximum on top, right? So for this, I have to create one column as day, select day, comma, I have to count the admission date for that particular day, right? I can name this column as number of admissions, let's say, right, from the table admissions, right? Now I need to group this on the basis of day, right? Because I want 1, 2, 3 till 31. So that is my first column. So it would be grouped by day, right? Now it should be ordered by, or it should be sorted on the basis of the count of admission date. So the column name is number of admissions, ordered by number of admissions, and it should be descending order, right? Now I need to change the column name because there is no column as day. So now I have to define this day. This day should be the day function of admission date, right? And this will be defined as day. Now what I've done is, first column is the day of admission date. So whatever is the admission date, it will fetch the day. So for example, the admission date is 1st of January 2022, then the day for that would be 1. If I select admission date as 2nd of January 2022, the day would be 2. So it will store all these days in the day column, and I am grouping this on the basis of day, right? And sorting is done on the basis of number of admissions. Descending order, that means highest number of admissions on the top. So if we try to execute this, and the answer is correct. So this will give me on the 11th day, total number of admissions are 184. This is highest, similar to day 4. Then third is day 9, where I'm getting number of admissions as 183. Least are on day 31 with 103 number of admissions. All right. So now let's move to the next question. Before that, let's see the status. We have completed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 questions so far. Now let's see the 17th question. Show all columns for patient ID 542 with the most recent admission date. So I have to get all the columns for patient ID 542 for the most recent admission date of 542, not for the total records, right? In this case, I have to display all the columns from the table admissions where the patient ID is 542, right? So from here I can get, so this is not the solution, but let's see to try to execute this. This will give me all the records from table admissions, right? Where the patient ID is 542. But I don't want two records. I want one record with all the columns of 542. If we see expected output, this there you can see there is one record 542 with all the columns, right? So I need to use group by, and then I will group by on the basis of patient ID. This will group and it will give me only one record. Now I want one requirement, that is having the max of admission date, right? So I want the record for the most recent admission date. For that I will use max function, right? Now let's try to execute this. Control plus enter. You got the query correct. This is absolutely correct, right? So this is what we also used. Now let's see the alternative solution to this. Select star from admissions where patient ID is 542 and admission date is equal to, and there is a subquery. Now I am mentioning that admission date is equal to select max of admission date from admissions where patient ID is equal to 542, right? Another solution is select star from admissions table where patient ID is 542, order by admission date descending and limit 1. Limit 1 will give me the first record only. Limit will give you the n number of records. If I mention limit 5, it will give me top 5 records, right? So this is useful to fetch n number of records depending on the requirement. Finally, the last solution provided is select star from admissions, group by patient ID having patient ID is equal to 542 and max of admission date, right? So the way I have mentioned here, I can use having instead of where, right? So what I can do is group by this having patient underscore ID equal to 542 and max of admission date, right? So this is also correct. So there are multiple solutions to one query. It depends on you how you proceed, right? So now let's move to the next question. The next question is show patient ID, attending doctor ID and diagnosis for admissions that match one of the two criteria. So I have two criteria to be met. Table is admissions table with the 5 columns. So now I have to display patient ID, attending doctor ID and diagnosis from table admissions where. Now my first condition is patient ID is an odd number. For that I can use the column name, percentage symbol, and 2 is not equal to 0. That means if we divide any number by 2, if the remainder is 0, that means it is an even number. If the remainder is not 0, that means it is odd number. So this percentage sign symbol, it will give me the remainder. If the remainder is not equal to 0, that means it is odd. So this criteria is there. And so I can use and keyword, attending doctor ID in 1, 5 or 19, right? So this is my first condition and the solution should be either of these should be met. So it is written that match one of the two criteria. So I will use or, right? Now my second condition is attending doctor ID contains a 2. That means it is like percentage to percentage, right? So this is my one condition and second condition. And the second condition is the length is 3 characters. So I will use len for length of my patient ID equal to 3 and bracket closed. So I have these two conditions, this or this. Whenever any of these conditions, or we can say criteria, is met, I want patient ID, attending doctor ID, diagnosis from the table admissions. Let's try to execute this. Alright, so this is giving syntax error near len. Alright, so now I have not written the keyword and. Right, now again let's try to execute, and this is perfect. You got the query correct. Right, so you can see from here it is the patient ID, attending doctor ID and diagnosis that we are fetching from the table admissions, where my these two conditions, condition 1 and this, either of them is meeting, I am getting the result. Alright, so now let's move to the next question. Show me the first name, last name, and the total number of admissions attended for each doctor. So there is one um, point given that every admission has been attended by a doctor, right? So now we have to display, let's delete this first. Now we have to display first name, last name, and the total number of admissions. For total number of admissions, as you can see, will come from another table, right? We want the first name, last name, and the total number of admissions attended for each doctor, right? So we have to get the first name, last name from doctor's table, right? And total number of admissions will be from the admissions table. So the first name will come from the table number 2. I am just representing doctors as T2, so it will be T2 dot first underscore name, then T2 dot last underscore name, right? And then I have to count all the records, this as admissions total. This is coming from the table number 1, from admissions T1, join doctors, this is T2, on T1 dot attending doctor ID is equal to T2 dot doctor ID. So we have provided the join on the table number 2 doctors on the criteria this, right? Now we have to group them by attending doctor ID. So for all the doctor ID, so if you see here, what is the expected output? You can see the first name, last name, right? And then the admissions total. So now let's try to execute this, and you got the query correct. So from here you can see the first name is coming, second last name is coming. These two names are doctor name, right? So these are doctors. These are not patient name, right? So you have to be very careful. So I'm getting the first name of the doctor, last name of the doctor, and the total admissions for the each doctor. For the doctor Claude Walls, total number of patients were 214, right? For Joshua Green, the total number of admissions were 187. So this is what we wanted. For this structure, we used group by. Because of group by, on the basis of attending doctor ID, or instead of that, we could have used doctor underscore ID as well, and then we can get the desired output. All right. So now let's move to the next question. For each doctor, display their ID, full name, and the first and the last admission date they attended. I have two tables, admissions table, doctors table again, right? For that, I will display attending doctor ID, right? This attending doctor ID, their ID will come from the table number 1. So this is T1 dot attending doctor ID. Then I want to have full name, that is first name plus last name, right? For that I will use concatenate function, right? So that will be t2 dot first name, right? Concatenate, then I will use space, then again concatenate t2 dot last name, right? This name, the column name can be full name, right? Now my third column would be the first admission date. That will be the minimum of t1 dot admission date. So admission date is from the table number 1, so I'm getting the minimum date for that particular doctor. This as first admission date, right? Now I want the last admission date. For that I will use max function, max of t1 dot admission date as last admission date. Now you can see my first column is attending doctor ID, second column is the full name, first name plus last name, third column would be the first admission date, that would be the minimum of the all admission dates for that particular doctor ID, right? So now I will get all these columns from the admissions table, that is T1, join doctors, that is T2, on T1 dot admission doctor ID, or we can say attending doctor ID column is equal to T2 dot doctor ID, right? So now we have created the three columns, or rather four columns, that is doctor ID, then the concatenation of first name plus last name, then third column is the first admission date, fourth column is the last admission date, all from the two tables. But the condition is not there, but we have to group this, group by the IDs. All right, so ID would be attending doctor ID. Is this the correct one? Let's see. Let's try to execute this. You got the query correct. So now here, let's close this. Yeah. So now here you can see my first column is attending doctor ID. So all the doctor IDs are here. So we have total 27 doctors. The full name Claude Walls. You can see it has been concatenated. Right, for this particular doctor Claude Walls, the first admission date was 10th of 6th month 2018, that is June 2018. Then last admission date was 3rd June 2019. Right, for each and every doctor we have the first admission date and the last admission date. All right, if you see the solution provided by the website, it is the doctor ID as the first column, then concatenation, then min of admission date, max of admission date from the table admissions, join doctors on the key group by the doctor ID, same as we have worked on. All right, so now let's move to the next question. Display the total amount of patients for each province, order by descending. So what is the expected output? I want the number of patients for each and every province. The province name will come from the province table, right? But we have other details in the table patients. So we have to join these two tables so that we can get the province name versus the total number of patient counts, right? So for that I will display province name comma the count of patients, but this province name will come from the table 2, right? Now the second column would be the count of all the records, and I can just name this column as patient underscore count as it is written here. I can write any column name, right? From patients join province names table. This is my table T2, patients is T1, but this is not required because there is no T1 as such, right? On T1 dot province ID equal to T2 dot province ID, right? So now we have joined the two tables. We have fetched the province name and we have fetched the count. Now we have to sort this, or before that we have to group them, right? So group by province names, right? Or we can use province underscore ID, because rather we have to group. Ultimately we have provided this, right? So we can use T2 dot province names or T2 dot province underscore IDs, whatever you want. Order by the count. So if you see here, we have to order on the basis of descending total number of amounts of patients. Order by, so rather we can just copy this patient underscore count descending. Let's try to execute this. So now this is giving me no such column T2 dot province underscore names, because we have to group. There is the system is saying there is no such column, right? So if we say here, okay, so the column name is province underscore name, not names, right? Now let's try to execute this. Okay, so again it is showing me no such column T2 dot province underscore names. Okay, again here, so the column name is province underscore name. So this is my typo error. Now if we try to execute, control plus enter, voila. So now we have these two columns, province underscore names. All these provinces are there with the patient count, right? So if we try to execute before without this, let's make it a comment. Now let's try to execute this. You will see I have province name and patient count, but this is not sorted. This is why I've used order by patient count, and this is absolutely correct. All right. So now let's move to the next question. In this question, for every admission, display the patient's full name, their admission diagnosis, and their doctor's full name, who diagnosed their problem. So here we have three tables: patients, admissions, and the doctor's table. So now here we want to display the patient's full name. That will come from here, first name and last name. Then their admission diagnosis, this will come from the table admissions, this diagnosis column. And then their doctor's full name, this will come from doctor's table, first name and last name. So we want these 5 columns to be fetched and get one designated table, right? So for this, again we have to use joins, right? So to display, I will use select. Now I will use concatenate, or using parallel lines, concatenate T1 dot first name, comma, space, then T1 dot last name. This will give me one column as patient name, right? So now I have got the patient name. Now I will again concat from the doctor's table, T3 dot first name, comma, space, then T3 dot last name, right? So now I've got the two columns. This is doctor name, right? I have 2 columns. Third column is diagnosis, right? So if we see the expected output, it will give me patient name, diagnosis, and doctor, right? So let's add here t2 dot diagnosis, comma, right? So these are the three columns. Now I'm getting this from the table name patients. This is T1. Join admissions. This is T2, right? On T1 dot patients ID equal to T2 dot patient ID, right? Again, join doctors table on T2 dot attending doctor ID equal to T3 dot doctor ID. So if we have to connect table patients with admissions, I will use patient ID, right? If we have to connect admissions table and doctors table, I will use attending underscore doctor underscore ID with doctor ID. So this will help me to connect these three tables, right? So now we have joined these three tables. Let's see what is the output. So it will show me, or it is showing me T3 dot first name. There is no such column, right? Because I have not mentioned doctors as T3. So I have to write T3 here because the system, or you can say the console, is not able to understand what is T3. Now I have defined doctors table as T3. Let's see what happens. Now the query is correct. We are getting patient name, diagnosis, and then doctor's name. These three columns we are getting from three different tables and in the one table itself. If you see the solution provided by the website, this is similar to what we have worked on. All right. So now let's move to the next question. Display the number of duplicate patients based on their first name and last name. So now we have to display first name, last name, and the count. Count, let's name it as number of duplicates from the table patients. Now we have these three columns, first name, last name, and the total count as number of duplicates, right? So now we have to group this on the basis of the first name and last name. You can see display the number of duplicate patients based on their first name and last name. So if you see expected output, first name, last name, and number of duplicates. So in this, we have to group on the basis of first name as well as last name so that we can get the duplicates. Using group by first name, then last name, where the total count for each record should be greater than 1 because we want to display the number of duplicates. So if the count is 1, that is not duplicate. Right, if it is greater than 1, that means if it is 2, 3, 4, 5, those are the duplicate patients. So we have to use having because it is group by, so we will use having instead of where. Having count of all, that is stars, is greater than 1, right? So let's see if we comment this, what will be the output. So the output will be first name, last name, and number of duplicates, which is showing me 1 as well. So this Abby Kendall, this is not a duplicate. It is showing me just one time, right? But if we go down, let's see, go towards down, somewhere it would be number of duplicates as 2, 3, 4. Those are the records which we want. So for that, we will use this condition, having count greater than 1. Now let's try to execute this. Right now it is showing me 4511 records. Let's see what it will show me now. You can see the first name, last name, and the number of duplicates in this column, it is greater than 1 all the time, right? We only have few records. So that means the duplicacy is less. All right. So the solution provided by the website is also similar to ours. So there is no alternate solution. All right. So now let's review what all we did. Right. So from question number 1 till this we have completed. Only one question is left in the medium difficulty level. So now let's move to the last query of the session. In this, display patient's full name, height in units feet rounded to 1 decimal, weight in the unit pound rounded to 0 decimal. Then I have to mention the birth date and the gender non-abbreviated. Non-abbreviated means gender currently is mentioned as M or F, that is abbreviation, right? Now I have to mention gender as male, M-A-L-E, male, female, F-E-M-A-L-E, female, complete name, right? So now they have also mentioned convert the centimeter cm to feet by dividing by 30.48, because we have to make the heights in the units feet instead of centimeters, so we have to change or we have to divide by 30.48 to convert. Similarly, for the weight, we have to convert kgs to pounds, so in that case we have to multiply by 2.205. Now let's see how it will go. So first of all, I want the patient's full name. For that, again we will use concatenate. Concat my first name, comma, space, then last name as patient's name, right? Then my second column should be the height. Height would be the height column divided by 30.48, right? In order to convert centimeter to feet, I will divide by 30.48. For that, I will use backslash. Now, I want to make this round off to 1 decimal. So, in order to make this happen, I will use the function round. And for this, I have to keep 1 decimal. So, that means comma 1. Right. So if you want to keep 2 decimal points, 2 digits after decimal points, so instead of 1 you will use 2, or if you want 3 digits after decimal you will type in 3. So in this case I will use 1, right? So this is my height as, let's say, height in feet, right? Now again with the weight, it should be multiplied with 2.205. So for multiplication we will use asterisk sign, and again to round it off to 0 decimal, so that means round of weight to 0 as weight in pounds, right? So now we have these 3 columns. Fourth column is birth date, and then the last column is the gender. In this I want all the columns wherever the abbreviation is M, I should get it as male, right? So I will use case for here. Case when gender is equal to M, then give me male, else give me female, right? I am assuming there is no null, so that means if there is no M, that is female. I should end this as the column name as gender type. right? So now we have these 4 columns from the table patients. Now let's try to execute this. There is an error near FT. Okay, so if we have to mention the column name, we can't use double quotes, right? So in order to make it in, we can use this height underscore feet, weight underscore pounds, right? Now let's try to execute this. Now you can see we are getting the 5 columns: patient name, which is the concatenated, that is first name plus last name, then height in feet, then weight in pounds, then there is birth date, and then there is gender type, which is non-abbreviated, right? We can see male and then female is there, right? So this is how we wanted in this question as well. There are 5 columns. And similarly for the solution provided by the website, it is exactly what we have done. Alright guys, so let me see the status, view all questions. You will see all the queries are completed. So we have covered all these questions, all the 24 queries in the medium difficulty level. So this was the objective of this session. I hope this session will be very useful for you. Go on this website SQL Practice and try to practice and try to execute yourself, and you will realize what are the challenges that you may face, and then come back to the video and check the solution and all those things. Alright guys, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe and do share with your friends who are also in data analytics journey, who are learning SQL, who are learning Power BI. These two things are really important for any data analyst. So in case of data visualization, Power BI is one of the best. I'm not saying it is the only way to go ahead with the visualization. If you are good in Tableau, you can continue with Tableau. And if we talk about SQL, this is one of the most important language. This will give you more hands-on, more expertise, and help you in cleaning and storing the data and uh, slicing and dicing basically. So I hope this video was really helpful. In my next video, I will walk you through the hard level questions. In this, you will see these are the questions uh, which I will try to address, and I will give you multiple solutions to it. Alright guys, so thanks a lot for watching this video. Again, I would request you to subscribe and share across with your friends. Thank you for watching this video.